Hi, Josh.
Josh, you wearing what it do, boo?
True. I dig your weirdness. I want some more of it. I want to see more of it. I want to feel more of it.
Oh my god.
Welcome to the Josh Wearing podcast. We appreciate you listening. Merci.
Popping it in, I'm going all in. Talking about me when she with her friends. Said when she with me, she loving that shit. When she with me, can't get enough of it. Popping it in, I'm going all in. Talking about me when she with her friends. Said when she with me, she loving that shit. Shorty got me brainless. Hey yeah, hey yeah, hey yeah, hey yeah. And I don't understand it. Hey yeah, hey yeah, hey yeah, hey yeah. Shorty got me brainless. Hey yeah, hey yeah, hey yeah, hey yeah. And I don't understand it. Hey yeah, I don't know. Yeah, yeah.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another live episode of SMV Radio. We have a wonderful show planned with some amazing guests, one of which is backstage and a bit of accomplished content creator. Very proud of him. So we're going to see what he got planned for the future in a little bit. But one of the things that I appreciate the most about this platform is just a space for men to be men, which I think is not only needed, right, during this time and in life, right? But also it is required for men to be men because part of being a man, you have to observe other men be men as well. So that's how you're able to define what a man and your own masculine means to you. So this is one of the favorite things I love about SMV radio. It's pretty amazing. So the first question we have for the show is, what do women bring to the table? Pretty divisive question, right? However, if we're speaking as men, we're not saying anything directly to offend anyone, right? We're just speaking facts plainly because this is how men process information. So some ladies may be offended by the content, and ladies, that's your choice, but it's not created with any malice. It's just to speak facts plainly. And if you're actually listening, it may help you. So, what do women bring to the table? If you select the right one, peace and quiet, elegance, nurturing, cooperative, self-aware, just to name a few. And of course, they would have a divine body, which means it's a God-given body and earned from blessings at the gym. But we are going to examine what exactly is required to lock down gentlemen of high value. So our first gentleman of high value is none other than Big Mike. What up, my bro?
Yo, my guy, Josh, what's going on, sir?
Having fun. This is going to be a very interesting show. So I cannot wait.
Well, I'm looking forward to it myself. Always willing to, give my 2 cents and help out. I love the cast.
Absolutely. So, Big Mike, as always, I appreciate you being here. But for those who don't know about you, could you let them know about your prowess with women? Because I know this because I hear the stories at the barbershop. But for those who don't know, let them know about your ability.
Ability? I mean,
a very special set of skills.
well, I mean, this also from your several podcasts we've been on or whatever like that as well. So there's different, old story times with Miguel, right? But
Mhm.
I mean, I'm in my mid-30s right now, so I guess over the years, I've had different experiences throughout, you know, um, in almost every scenario. I've lived with women. I was married at one point. I've had some longer term relationships, some shorter term. Some dated. I've been what did I say? Award winning Academy Academy Award winning side dude, at certain times.
Exactly. And for the young brothers, could you let them know how important that experience is, especially with your logical decision making for partners?
I think it's very important. I think we learn from all of our experiences. I think that, the fact that, like you and I or KG or Luton or whoever's on the show, I think the fact that we've been with different type of, not just women, but different type of scenarios. You know what I'm saying? I think it brings just that more knowledge that the young brothers can take and say, like, we've been here before, we've dealt with it. I often used to say, like, every time I date a woman, I've been with you before. You just had a different name and a different face. Because a lot of times there's similar scenarios and stuff like that. You've already experienced this and whatnot. So
Absolutely. And I guess what I really enjoy about this aspect right here is that we get to share this information with the younger brothers, because the information that I know now after my experiences, I was like, yo, if I knew this consciously and was acting upon it and executing the information I learned, be completely different.
Oh, 100%, man. I was saying, every time I see a meme, every time I see something and whatnot, I kind of say, this used to be me. And it's so, and I read it and I say, wow, like, I was operating so wrong in my past. Now, I've, of course, gained the knowledge now, but again, it definitely helps you, become a different man. As you get older, you learn from certain mistakes and you just operate and move differently, I would say.
Absolutely. And I think that's key, especially in terms of your self-development, from a young man to a man and then, on forth. I think it's incredibly important for that development.
Yeah, but I think what we're trying to do is give the younger brothers the advice. They don't have to go through kind of the hardships part of that aspect. So that way, they can kind of, not alleviate from that and just move forward and stuff like that.
Absolutely. And just to play devil's advocate, right? One may argue that it might be necessary for them to go through those experiences and, essentially learn from failure. So I understand that perspective as well. But I guess I still think it would be prudent to have the information, kind of like knowing 2 + 2 = 4. As long as you know this fact, I think that'll help you be more successful in the long run.
Correct. Like, does the person have to, go live, let's say, in the projects of roaches and rats, from what your parents or grandparents did to be able to appreciate success later in life? They don't. They can still be successful. So I think, but they can learn from their parents and grandparents without having to experience it themselves, I feel like. So.
Absolutely. So we're going to have one of our favorite comedians, Dr. Patrice O'Neill, RIP him. Absolutely. And full of an abundance of wisdom. So one of the questions he had for ladies was interesting, which essentially inspired this topic here. So we're going to watch the clip and then get back to it.
Mm-hmm. And the only reason we don't go, get the fuck out of here, is because women are the worst terrorists there are. Worse than Al-Qaeda, because this is what y'all do. You hold a pussy hostage and threaten to kill it if we don't listen to your horrendous nonsense. And you make it read a letter. The pussy be reading the letter. Please. Please, listen to a story or she's gonna kill me and you'll never see me again. Look at him, look. This posture, this ain't good when girls do that. He hates women. Somebody gotta tell you. Let me ask you a question. Here's a question. Here's a good, serious question. Okay, ladies, if you didn't have a vagina, like, say it was a terrible train accident, right? And the doctor was like, we have to remove your pussy right away or you're gonna die. How would you keep your man past, you get a 2-month guilty, I can't leave the bitch right away because she just lost a pussy in a train accident. Can't just walk right out on her. how would you keep your man past that if you didn't have a vagina? Wow. Nothing? You can talk. You can talk. Suck his dick. Okay. Mouth. Asshole. Okay, great. Do you see what I'm saying? Now, I've been getting pussy beamed the whole show, right? But I give women the opportunity to say, I'm gonna make myself worth more. But you just classified yourself as a series of holes. But I'm supposed to treat you special, but you're just a bunch of holes for yourself. No one said learn how to play Xbox, learn how to play pool, tell better stories, get another bitch that got a pussy to come on in. Well, look, whatever. Plus.
And there we go, because I think that is an incredibly wise question to ask. Like, ladies, if you did not have your nether regions, right, how would you actually attract a man and or keep a man? And this is a very intuitive question to ask men, because men will think about it logically, like, wait a minute, that's a fantastic question. And when usually going through those experiences that Miguel brought up, you're not always thinking about it in that perspective. So from your perspective, Mike, what do you think ladies bring to the table?
Well, I think the more question is, what do we want them to bring to the table, right? So I think, yeah. So I think that what we want. Okay, so I think that to Patrice's point, I think we want more than what's in between their legs and whatnot. That will not keep a man. It may get him at the moment if he's a man who thinks with his nether regions or whatever, but it likely still won't keep him. We want support, right? We want that's number one. We want thoughtfulness. We want to be treated as the lead. We want submissiveness, stuff like that. We want to feel like a woman is just overall, making life easier as we do our job as men, right? So the question you always ask yourself is, as a man, for me, like I've been with a girl who only was really providing that, right? And at the end of the day, when things were going downhill, as I'm with her, and I'm like, I'd asked myself, I said, what are you actually doing to improve my quality of life, right? Because if you're only providing me that and that's all you're good for, then I can get that anywhere, or I don't have to have it at all and whatnot. So eventually I actually want to believe in her, because that's the question. What are you doing? Are you helping me realize my dreams? Are you pushing me to realize my dreams? Are you building a foundation with me? Are you being a team with me? All those things I feel like is what we want. So.
And conversely, this is why observation and being self-aware are so important, because then you can also ask the questions, is she holding me back?
Correct.
And then those things, those are the questions that you're really not going to think about, especially if coitus is involved.
I agree, 100%, especially if you allow that to be the forefront or the crux of your relationship, stuff like that. We can't always be chasing it, even when we got it, right? Like, and like I said, it's got to be just more than that, especially again, we're a certain age gentleman, so I think we look at it differently. But even as a younger person, you could be a person going to school, trying to realize your dreams, be successful and whatnot. Like, same thing can apply. Like, how are you helping, benefit my life in any way? Are you just providing me this only? So, or to your point, are you holding me back?
Absolutely. And again, this is all things to logically think about, because this is the thesis of what we're trying to impress upon the younger generation, is to be aware with the big brain up here, because that's your most powerful tool in any given situation. Your ability to essentially perceive facts and logic in real time, and then being able to make an applicable action that is appropriate. And usually when emotions get involved, that logic, there's the disconnect in the brain, especially in the male brain, especially when sex is involved.
Yeah, we often, especially at a younger age, we feel like that we have to constantly pursue it, and and feel like that, like kind of like we have to do things even though it's out of our logical brain or out of our nature to make sure that we get that right. So we may think, yo, I need to work these many hours to save for this, yada yada yada. But she's like, listen, I want you to come over today. Can you take off? And as a younger person, you're like, you know what? I'm taking off. I want to get that. So I think that again, we're not thinking, and then you want the woman who's like, right? So moving forward, you want the woman who's like, no, work what you got to work. 'Cause I know what you're trying to do. I will still get. I'll see you soon enough, but do what you got to do. Not the woman who like, well, you got to get it now, or you ain't getting it. See, that's what I'm saying. That's you got to think about what woman do you have, something like that.
Absolutely. And then this is why I think understanding your value as a gentleman is so important, because you'll make decisions based upon how you view yourself. So if you view yourself in a certain light, you might be choosing to, I guess, essentially date down on purpose because you think that's all you can get, unfortunately. Right. And then I look at, memes like this, courtesy of Poetic Charm, dating, of course. And this is how it really be, right? A man has to have a house, a car, and money to be with me. And the gentleman asks, but what are you bringing to the table, Yo Grace? And she says, another man's kids. And sometimes if you're not aware of your value, then you might enter that situation and be like, hey, that's the best I can do. Let me let me see what it's like.
I think that's the transition that has happened over the last 15, 20 years, that men, have essentially, they're saying, look, you're the prize, but I'm the prize too. Right? So I'm taking away from you, but I'm also a prize myself. I'm gonna catch myself and whatnot. I'm a good dude, whatever it is. So it's not gonna be a one-way street. Where I think before it was almost like she's always the prize. So you always have to be doing all these things to make sure that you're able to catch her, so to speak, but not allow her to also catch you.
Absolutely. And we have another guest who just arrived, who is also pretty cool and lived in some of the coolest cities in America. So without further ado, welcome to the stage, Jared.
How's it going, guys?
How's it going over there?
Man, it's going well out here in Texas. It's a little bit rainy, but you know what? We got nice weather. It's about 80 degrees out, so
Yeah, not bad at all. So, Jared, for those who don't know, when you think about what you would want, as Miguel rephrased the question, what would you want a young lady to bring to the table in your life?
So, and I think I've talked about this before, but I really want somebody that's equally yoked with me. Somebody who maybe not matches me in all places, but in terms of where they are in life and they feel they are in their life, they're kind of in the same position. So I feel like I'm in a pretty good position in my life where I'm growing and I'm constantly growing and I'm constantly reaching goals, and I have goals where I can continue to move forward towards. And so that means I'm looking for a woman who also has goals and who's also meeting her goals and trying to get farther in life, because then I don't have to sit there and motivate somebody. So I'm looking for somebody who's looking for maybe not the same things as me, but as motivated as me. And that makes things easy.
Absolutely, because it actually complements your energy, your focus, and your ambition, which is great. That's, to me, that's peace of mind for a man. What do you think, Big Mike?
I didn't mention that in my soliloquy earlier, but I do think as well, someone equally yoked, having the same mindset, I feel like is more so. Same mindset, same, like you said, same type of goals. If you're a person who wants to constantly grow and achieve things. You can have a person who wants to stand still without ambition. You have to have those equal, equality.
Absolutely, because if you're someone who's incredibly ambitious and you're putting in 60 to 80 hour work weeks, and unfortunately your significant other might be someone who's laying in bed all day and binging Netflix or whatever streaming service you want to choose. It's kind of like we're kind of going in different directions.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real. And I think I've been there before, and I have been there before. Nothing.
You've been there before.
Well, I've definitely been there for sure. A couple times actually.
But the hard thing is somebody can't understand you if they haven't been where you've been. And there's always I forgot his name, but there's this book called The Third Option. It talks about in groups and out groups, and you want to be with somebody in your in group that understands you and understands what you're going through and what you're doing, or at least motivates you. Here's the thing. If you're looking for somebody and you find somebody who is goal oriented and has achieved all their goals, it might still work. But if I'm working harder than somebody else is working, I can also say I might get a little bit jealous and there might be a little bit of tension that's caused in there. And it might not be from her. It might just be the fact that, dang, I got to go to work every day and she's not working. How's that going to work for me? And as a man, that's kind of hard sometimes. We're not just talking about financially, but what's going on in life where she can do more than I can, or she has the ability to hang out and spend time and do all these things while I'm working super hard and not being married. Yet that means it's something I'm looking at. It's one of those aspects I look for constantly. Somebody who is going to be working as hard as I am, even if they don't work as many hours. If they're working as hard or as motivated as I am, then I can make it work. But if you're kind of just like, hey, want to do a 9 to 5, you do all the work, the hard work, and I just want to take care of the kids. I'm not really one of those guys. That's not me.
I mean, that makes sense. You got to find somebody who's equal to you, and if that's gonna, and I think the other way it happens too. I think, not only will you start looking at her a certain way because she's not working as hard as you, but she might try to, force you to come along, come to the dark side, right? And say, why are you working so hard? You should be home with me, and stuff like that. So it can also go, that way as well, if that's the type of, relationship that you have.
So Chloe is saying kids are hard work, and I said I'm not saying that kids aren't hard work. What I'm saying right there, just to clarify, is if I'm looking at somebody and I'm looking at how hard they work right now, I completely believe that if you are a hardworking person, then you'd be able to take care of kids and put a lot of work into them. And if you're working in the business world or wherever world you're in and you're hardworking, that's great. But if you're really lazy, I can't and you just want to just relax all the time, I can't expect you to take really good care of my kids also. That's just what I've seen. I've seen a lot of friends who travel a lot, and unfortunately they didn't expect how much work they were going to have when they had kids, and they kind of neglect their kids.
Yeah, that's a fair point, and I would say that's very true. And even without kids, the same parameters can still apply. And then it's kind of like, what's the rationale now if there's no kids? What do you think, Big Mike?
That's very interesting. I never looked at it like he's saying, if you look at a person from a younger or a different part of life when they have no kids and look at their work ethic, that can almost let you know what kind of mom or wife they would be and stuff like that. And I never even thought about that aspect of it. So I think it's interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah. And go ahead, Jared.
Oh, and I was just gonna say, your work ethic will stay constant. If you are a hard worker, it doesn't matter. If you love something, you're gonna put a lot of work into it. And if you love your kids and you want to be a stay-at-home mom, I'm not saying you can't. especially if we're married, if that's what you want to do, we'll work it out. If you put a lot of work into everything to get there, that's awesome. If you're a planner like me, we'll figure out a plan for it. But if you're not a hard worker and you're not as motivated as I am, I can't just plan out of nowhere for everything to just work out. That's just what I'm saying.
I think that's a genius thought process to have. I think people should have it when they're looking at what they might want to have for their potential, wives or mothers of their kids and things like that. I think that's pretty genius, actually. I like that, Jared. Yeah.
Absolutely. And if you just want to apply that in parallel spaces in your life, the same attribute like elegance. Elegance will let you know you can take her out in public. She's not going to embarrass you. Things like that, fitness level, things like that. So, and Chloe says people have cycles as well. Over time, people work very hard at certain points and rejuvenate at others. So I would think time is an important factor. Absolutely. Especially depending on how old you are. You might not have time to relax and rejuvenate.
Yeah.
See, I don't know. I'm go ahead, Jared. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mike.
I'm kind of more with Jared now, because I think about my own life or my own family or my own mother or father. Like, they've always been very hardworking. But even as a when I was a kid, my mother was still at every PTA meeting or football game or whatever. However, she still was either working 2 jobs or overtime when she can. So she was still able to kind of do both. But I think that but she was doing this. I was so young, and right now to this day, she's almost 60, and she still has 2 jobs. Not that she has to either, because she's just hardworking. That's what she just likes to do, or whatever like that. So I feel like it's just something that's angry, maybe, or whatever.
I mean, I agree with that completely. Right. I mean, right. My dad just turned 71 and he's still working. He's hardworking, and he don't just work at work. He goes to work at home, and that's just what he loves doing. But, and I'm going to talk about family on a flip side. My sister, my older sister, she hasn't worked at 9 to 5 in, I don't know, at least 16 years. I don't know how long it's been, but her full-time job is being the PTO mom. That's her full-time job, 100%. She's at 3 different schools, making sure everything needs to happen. Then she has her own side hustles, and she has businesses. Then she's a great mom. Then if anybody in the family needs something, they can reach out to her. So even though she takes time to herself and she's not working a job like a job per se for somebody else, doesn't mean that she's not doing anything. And I'm gonna be real, you can see, even though there's timing in it with everything, you can see what somebody's built. You can see how motivated somebody is just by what's going on in their life. I mean, you have artists and that are just artists and they just paint. I have a lot of paintings around here. Over here, I have 2 canvases just sitting on the ground. And that doesn't mean just because they're a starving artist, they're not hardworking. They might be painting every day. And you never know. Some people have depression and anxiety, and they might have a moment where they're not working as hard, but you talk to them about their goals. Their goals are still, their goals haven't changed.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have a conversation and depict where somebody is, but you can also depict who they are and who somebody is. Even when you go through a phase of depression, you don't change who you are. And you might change your motivation at that moment, but not overall. But that's also a factor.
Absolutely.
I was going to say, if they're constantly depressed and everything just falls completely, that's also something you want to look at in a woman. If everything falls apart when they get depressed and everything does, then you also have to think about how would that affect my family? How would that affect my kids if I had them?
Absolutely. So those are amazing and brilliant points from both of you. So my follow-up question would be, is there a time period where you will be patient at a certain time But after, let's say, a year, 18 months, then it's like, or maybe even sooner, right? Then, we kind of have to start thinking about going our separate ways.
That's a hard question.
Because it's absolutely subjective, absolutely.
Because I don't think there's a time period. And I mean, I honestly, and this is just me, I believe that nothing goes by my timing. It goes, I'm gonna say this, it goes by God's timing. That's my belief. So I really can't say if there's a time period. What I can say is I have a certain amount of patience. And if my patience does run thin, I have a certain amount of grace. And then there's like a cutoff and there's a line. And then I have a certain amount of patience. And then it's just like, ooh. That's it. That's how I am. I can give you grace up until I get to know you, and then I can give you patience after I get to know you if we talk about something and they want to make a change. But after that point, it's like if I don't see the action behind what we're talking about and what you've been saying, I mean, there's a difference between words and actions. So you have words, what you're saying, and then you have that's where you have the grace period where I get to know you, and then you have, hey, look, this is what I really see. Okay. And then you address it. And then you have, hey, this is how much time you have actions. And that's just that's not even them. That's just my patience. So.
Yeah, no, I kind of, if you're talking about something specific, like that they're not doing correctly or something that you're like not seeing, I think that what he said is correct. I think it's just like, it's about your personal, not really actual time. But I feel like, especially if you kind of addressed it or throw it out there, like, you'll know, like, you know what, at this point, I just can't deal with this anymore. And then you might express that to them. And then at some point from there, your patience will wear thin, obviously. Now, even with that, you necessarily have to, let's say it's over. Because sometimes by actually, showing them in action, right? Like actually, like, you know what, saying it's over, or taking a break or whatever might get them off their ass, and they may do something or whatever at that time. But I think a lot of times in relationships, people don't think we'll actually take action when we're not happy with what's going on, right? I think we only just talk, and we're gonna be upset about it, have conversations. Your only bargaining tool is yourself, I always say. So, know what I mean? If they're going to lose you and they know that I will actually lose this person, a lot of times they will make an effort at that time. And if they don't, then they weren't for you in the first place. Simple as that.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to point out of both of your brilliant points, because that isn't an ultimatum at all.
No.
That's just letting you know what's going to happen if the current behavior continues.
Right. Yeah, there's a very big difference between an ultimatum and what I want and what I'm asking for and what I need. My needs don't like if I say I need something, that doesn't mean, hey, you have to do it. That just means, hey, you might not be the right person.
Yeah, you're not forced to do it. Listen, you're not. I said it last week. The girl was like, "You can't make me do it." I'm not trying to make you do anything. You're not, or whatever like that. Simple
Absolutely. And the fact that, in this situation, each man would be articulating themselves and their desires for it to work. But if after that communication is had, that Jared brought up before, having communication, if that communication happens and then the same actions insist, you could also look at it like, hey, you didn't, you had no desire to do X, Y, and Z. So perhaps you weren't as invested as I thought you were.
I agree. Look, I mean, here's the other thing. People have to realize that you don't have to force every relationship.
Right.
If I have to force it, that means I have to push you. And if I have to push you right now, when you get married, marriage is an a magnifying glass to whatever problems there were before. So if I have to constantly push you and I have to push you uphill, then what's going to happen is as soon as we get married, I'm going to have to push you even harder. And I'm not for that. Unfortunately, I'm completely happy with who I am by myself. And yeah, if you match my energy, you match who I am, you are equally yoked with me, and we're going to work it out. And that's all I'm looking for. I'm not looking to change anybody. I'm not looking to try and make somebody exist that doesn't. I'm not trying to make you. I don't need to mold you. God already molded you to be who you are. And then you took life and you decided to make decisions which have molded you to who you are today. And that's completely fine. Doesn't mean that we're going to work out. I'm not searching.
Yeah, it either comes to you and you're ready for it or you're not. So hopefully everyone is ready for that right person. And as we talk about cutoff games, this next guest, his cutoff game is probably world class. We have Fresh Banks, the finesse king, in the building. By the way, you muted, Banks.
That's funny.
Yo, what up? What city you in, bruh?
I'm in Jersey until tomorrow.
Where we going, to H-Town?
Yeah, no. Yeah, I am. I forgot. Yeah.
I don't
even know he's flying at.
You coming down to Houston?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm down here now.
Oh, where? What part?
I live in the energy corridor because it was close to work, but yeah, I'm in Houston.
Oh, okay, so that's far.
Man, I just live here, so.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Banks lives there too, by the way.
Yeah, part time. Houston, land of Vegas, right? Thanks.
I haven't been in Vegas in a while, but yeah, basically we're getting there.
All right, Banks. So everyone's talked about what type of things would be required for a woman to bring to the table. We hear Kevin Sam was talking about this endlessly. So for you, what would a young lady need to bring to the table to even think that you won't finesse her?
I mean, I think Kevin Samuels basically puts it on the dot, like just cooperation, politeness, being in shape, a helpmate. I think, like, at the end of the day, we're men. We're very simple when it comes to the things that we want and like. And I think what women tend to do, they tend to go into what they want and then apply it to men. And that's why things don't necessarily always work. And they make things extremely complicated, which tend to push people away, or get to the point of that video you sent earlier, that trainer, Lolo, whatever, who sets expectations so high where you become a 38-year-old virgin, never married, never really experienced much. And now you realize, okay, maybe I set the bar too high.
Absolutely. And she couldn't hurdle over it, unfortunately, right? And then
now she's trying to make money.
Right. And you brought up an amazing point about how, if you don't have that balance, because men's nature is to provide, which I think is one of the most unselfish things that, we have innately. And we just love to be generous and provide for the people in our lives that we choose to, share that with. And I think that's very, very powerful. So if ladies, as Kevin Samuels is saying, and as Banks is reiterating, if you're too, and this is going to be the buzzword, right? Too narcissistic or self-centered, and you're just looking inward and you're not thinking about others, not only is that preventing you from having a serious relationship, that's also demonstrating the skill set of a lady who may not be a fit parent, because you can't be that self-centered if you're going to bring life into it and cultivate it so it can be an adult.
Right. And I think even with that point of like becoming a parent, I think a lot of women tend to forget or get caught up on the idea of actually raising a child in maintaining a child. And I feel like a lot of women get caught up on the idea of maintaining a child based on not everyone, but I would say some, especially corporate, depending on what they do and how high they go in the type of schedule that they would that would come across them. The idea of having a child, I mean, you're not going to really have time to raise your child. You're just basically maintaining that the child might have money, the child might have access, the child might be able to have things that you didn't have as a child, but you are forgetting the most important part is being a mother, at least, is raising your child.
Absolutely. You guys think?
I raising a child, just like you said, is the most important thing. So if you're focused on your career and you're focused on everything else, and you're not really interested in raising a child, I honestly feel like that's a conversation you have to have early on in a relationship, because it's important to know where somebody's mindset is at and if they want the same things as you. My parents raised me, and they did a great job. I'll say that all day. My parents were there. I want to be the same type. I want to be the same type of parents my parents were, and better. But if you have somebody who's looking for elevation by corporation, and that's what they're looking for in their entire life, and that's what they want to do, we have to make. We're differently yoked. I want to be able to make a comfortable lifestyle, but I also value my kids and who I'm building up more than anybody else. I'm always going to value relationships and people over monetary value. So you have to figure out who you're dating, what they're bringing to the table. Are they bringing to the table motivation for finances, or are they equally balanced around everything? Because figure out what the circle is, but it shows, hey, you have finances, your relationships, you have all these different things, and you can see, are they where your life's at based on this circle, and are you specifically in this area where you want to be at? And that's an important thing. If you're not where you want to be at in life, you can mess somebody else's life up. That's true.
Absolutely, Big Mike.
I think it just goes back to what kind of like what he said in the beginning. I guess is looking when it comes to the parenting, like looking at that person you're dating, even way back when, and seeing their lifestyle, their hobbies, their work ethic, and all that stuff. And also maybe having those conversations. I mean, you might not be there yet, but once you start to get, not even then, just even if there's general conversations, you can see what type of parent someone might be, some of their philosophies, and what their thoughts might be. And you can often tell early, like, I don't know if we think the same. And it goes back to what he said. A lot of people try to force relationships or force partnerships or force marriages. Sometimes that might not be the right person for you, and that's okay. You can find somebody who is.
Absolutely. I think that's the most important aspect as a young man, is that you got to realize your value so you can understand how selective you should be. Because if you're not, you'll end up with anybody, and that can be incredibly dangerous, especially in 2021.
I agree, 100%.
One more thing I'm going to say real quick before we hop off this is, make sure you're attracted to the person that you are talking, or you're getting to know. Even my own pastor says this: you must be attracted to the woman you're dating. If you're not, it's not going to work. So, that's an important factor that a lot of us kind of don't think about. And some people settle, and you can't settle for somebody you're not attracted to. Because if you're not attracted to them, then that means you're not really interested in them in all factors. You might be interested in them in a relationship or being friends or all these different things. But when somebody comes along that you are physically attracted to, it's going to catch your eye, and it's going to put some type of feelings there that you don't really want to deal with. So
absolutely. And then Banks, you wanted to add anything?
No, I mean that's right on point, especially when it comes to the attraction level. I do feel like a lot of people tend to settle, especially when they become more serious. But I do believe it's definitely important to be attracted to the person that you choose to spend the majority of your time with. Yeah, definitely.
Definitely key. All right, gentlemen. So as we transition to our next topic, which is Thought Girl Summer Culture. And I thought
I can't wait to hear Banks on this. Go ahead, Josh.
I thought I'd run a few clips. So if anyone, has anything to say it now, because it'll take a couple minutes.
Put it on.
Yeah, I'm gonna say one thing. Just one thing. IG, Instagram, this world right now, sometimes it kills me, but if I haven't said this to you guys, I don't remember who I said it to. Comparison is the enemy of joy. It's the enemy of progress in relationships. Comparison will mess things up. So if you are sitting there and thinking and comparing yourself or comparing who you're dating to somebody else, you need to take out either the comparison or you need to take them out.
Absolutely, especially if it's celebrity. So
for real.
Here we go.
Fellas, I hope you're really paying attention out here. You got people mostly women, praising the efforts of leftover women like Sierra and Laura Harvey, who then rode the cock carousel all the way into their impending demise when they hit the wall. And you got to really hope for future relationships. Listen, I've been telling you future relationships have been doomed. But if you look at the gap between what women are supporting as viable wife material and what men are saying would be their interest in wife material, I mean, the gap is completely wide open. And you got people that are celebrating the likes of Sierra, all right, who've thrown her peace leave all over the carousel, and that damn Lori Harvey out here promoting simp culture and saying that they're viable wife material. Okay, man, listen, y'all better pay attention really quick.
It's crazy, but it's facts. Your future wife right now is getting her ass eaten right now. Your future wife right now is ass naked, sucking up with her ass in the air in the sexiest lingerie. Your future right now is getting her face busted on as we speak. She's getting backshotted, pulling her hair knee deep in her guts. And what? You can't see the future, so you don't know what's going on.
Talking about niggas ain't shit. You need to get a handle on your motherfucking life and take some responsibility, bitch. What you mean to say is all the niggas you fuck with ain't shit. You need to figure out what it is about your pussy that keep attracting ain't shit niggas.
One thought, two thought, red thought, blue thought, by the Wade Empire. Some thoughts fly. Some thoughts come in twos. Some thoughts are old. Some thoughts look like you. Some thoughts are shy. Some thoughts are ladies. Some thoughts retired. Some thoughts got babies. This thought has a tattoo of a star. This thought stole her baby daddy car. From there to here, here to there are plenty of thoughts everywhere. Where thoughts come from, we have no clue. But as soon as you open your wallet, they'll come running to you. One thought, two thought.
All right, gentlemen. I saw some very interesting expressions during the clips. So who would like to go first?
I think I will.
Go ahead, Banks.
I think the biggest issue with all this, first and foremost, is broken families, especially with absent fathers when it comes to women. And I started noticing the trend or pattern, I guess you can call it, when it comes to some women on how they dress. Like, I know this is a sensitive issue when it comes to some women. Like, you can't control what they do, whatever. Fine, do what you want. But I feel like women who had their fathers present and that were actively present in their lives have a different style of dress, and they think before they post or what they put out when they come outside of their home, in comparison to women who tend to be a bit more promiscuous or out there, to say it in the lamest way possible. But if you look at these Instagram thoughts or thoughts in general, whatever, in their style of dress, and or even the ones that have children and the type of outfits they put their little kids in and think it's cute, when if you notice, like, let's say for instance, let's say the dad is involved and the mom buys something for the daughter and the dad sees it's like some little dress or skimpy outfit, the dad's going to automatically say, what is this? Like, she can't wear that. She's going to automatically shut that down, in comparison to if it was just the mom, she's just looking at it like, oh, this is cute, this is nice, or whatever, and not really thinking of the ramifications of how other people may view it. And I think that's the biggest issue when it comes to a lot of women nowadays. And this whole image of just looking at the celebrities, like, I don't think people realize when it comes to these celebrity power couples and the different types of relationships you see on Instagram or magazines, a lot of these are built. A lot of these are not real things. These are constructed, hand chosen, hand picked people that are selected to basically give off the image or give off the fantasy of the perfect quote unquote relationship. And so many people fall for these Instagram things, these memes, these ideas, these posts, which you gotta understand, especially when you see all these pages that cater to relationships. You gotta think a lot of this stuff is staged. Like, there's no way you can capture like the perfect moment, like, oh, my hubby did this, or wifey happened to do this for me and all that, or he gave me this amount of money and we went on shopping. Like, all that stuff is fake. Like, especially when it comes to the day to day, and as you get to know the person and as you get more advanced in your career, these things don't necessarily always happen. And I feel like people tend to not really, well, I wouldn't say people, I say women tend to fall more towards the fantasy as opposed to reality. And as you build on that fantasy, I feel like a lot of women tend to get lost. And that's where they get this idea of like, oh, I can have the perfect image. I can have the perfect man. I can have the perfect relationship, because they get caught up in these ideas. And I feel like when you talk to women about what they want, what type of relationship they want, they always name Beyonce. They always name Sierra. They always name Laura Harvey. Like, they name these figures, but they don't understand what these figures go through behind closed doors. And it's just like any woman who starts off with that, I never take them seriously. Never. How they look, what they do. It might be a temporary thing, which is cool, whatever. But long term, if that's like your role model and that's what you look forward to and that's what you read up upon, I feel like that I can't really take you seriously, because you have to look at the action. And I feel like you also have to look at the guys that some of these women are with. And I mean, I hate to talk down about I'm a man, but these guys have done plenty of things on the down low that may not have been caught by the paparazzi, or if it was automatically watered down by something else, or a different post or a song. And many women tend to forget that. And I'm like, you quote this perfect image, but this perfect image that you're portraying has a ton of issues and a ton of love loss and a ton of headaches that I feel like you just tend to look past on. So I feel like this whole imagery of the perfect relationship, the memes, social media has just completely tarnished the idea of a solid partner.
Yep. I completely agree. I call it the highlight reel. I took it from somebody, but I call it the highlight reel. We're trying to, well, we, all of us, and I'm not going to say us in the group, but I'm saying the majority of people are comparing themselves to somebody else's highlight reel. What's shown on Instagram is just a glimpse. It may be a second or a minute or even 10 minutes of somebody's day. And it's not even that often. And a lot of times, what women are comparing themselves to is somebody's one day, and probably what images that were took over an hour of somebody's day 3 months ago in a studio, edited, posted, whatever, and you're comparing your life to that. You don't see the rest of their life, just like Bank said. You don't know all the other stuff that's going on. So why compare your life to somebody else's highlight reel? Your life, you can't make your entire life as perfect as somebody's posts. Now, you might be able to make it sometimes, but we all go through struggles. It's a human thing. We're human. We live in America. It's not a perfect country. It's not a perfect world. How are you trying? Like, if you're comparing your life to something perfect, you're never going to be happy. Comparison's the enemy of joy. Comparison to perfection is just going to screw you up.
So about the whole thought girl part or whatever, Josh, to your original question. I think I do think it's that kind of making it like this for women, this thing to strive to have whatever hot girl summers, or when they talk about, can you hear me? Or not?
Oh yeah, keep going.
Okay, there. Okay, live your best life and all these other things that we see or whatever like that. I hate that it's so out there in the media or social media, because it does make girls think this is okay, but it's okay, and you can still have a relationship with a certain type of man. Where that's not true. Most men are not going to be okay with you dressing in some type of way, like Bank said, or posting certain things, or doing certain things when you're out in public and stuff like that. I think we had the video from G Herbo the other week when he said, like, these the girls on Instagram who do these things or dress this way or show this off, those are not the ones that we want to wife up. Those are the ones we look at. They're eye candy. Those are the ones that we maybe like a picture, or at the strip club, we make it rain or something like that. But ain't the ones that we're not that I go to strip clubs, I don't. But still, those aren't the ones that we're going to wife up and stuff like that. So I think that I feel like the girls are misguided, and they feel like this is the right way to be. And to Banks's point, when you see those particular husbands or boyfriends who are in these celebrity relationships, or even Instagram celebrity relationships, sometimes those are business relationships, whatever. So he's almost her pimp, for lack of better words, right? So he's all like, dress this way, show this off, shake your ass, do this and that, because it's going to get us more followers. It's going to get us more likes. It's going to get us, more money and stuff like that. So he is not the same guy who really, I feel like, really cares for you, or really, wants to see you grow and whatever, as a person or whatever like that. So I feel like when a girl thinks that, man, well, this guy's cool, his girl going that, why you not? Well, he is, because he's receiving monetary gain from it. That's why, or stuff like that. So it's a different aspect. So I do feel like that we got to watch, not we, but women have to watch what they look at it as the idolatry, especially when it comes to these Instagram women, Facebook models, on TV, whatever you want to see and stuff like that. Like, just because they look like they're having a good time or whatever, doesn't mean it's really the greatest thing you should be doing.
Absolutely. And just to reiterate, all brilliant points. And I just want to point out to the haters, the trolls, that this is slut shaming. Quite the opposite. If you actually think about it, men really don't have an issue with easy women. We quite enjoy it during certain times in our lives. And it's usually women who have an issue with easy women, because it distorts the SMV marketplace, let's say. But at the end of the day, if a young lady consciously decides to engage in thought behavior consistently, then she most likely will have a reputation, usually from the dudes. Well, not always from the dudes, right? But usually from the ladies who might be jealous of her that she's getting all that sexual attention. But it is sexual attention. I remember 10 years ago, a lot of the content that we see on IG right now was usually like sexting. Now it's part of the editorial calendar. So it's like when you show everyone basically everything and not really leaving much up to the imagination, it decreases your value over time, because I feel like ladies they want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to have hot, thought girl summer, but also be treated like a lady in a Tyler Perry movie. And that's just not realistic. Go ahead, Jared.
No, I was just gonna say, like, here's the thing, and I think this goes back to what was said earlier about having parents and role models. It's hard to ask somebody to respect you if you're not respecting yourself. And yeah, there is self-respect and if you want to think about self-respect, think about what would you want, and even us as men, what would you want your daughter to be posting online about their bodies and everything? Would you want your daughter to be acting like you are right now? It's not slut shaming or anything. That's just really just saying, hey, would you be okay with your daughter posting exactly what you're posting?
Yeah, mine is not slut shaming. Mine is for the women who, are looking for a certain guy to, be their boyfriend or husband or relationship and stuff like that. It's not slut shaming. I'm letting you know that the average guy, that's not the one he's going to wife up. So I'm just trying to like show you the way almost, not really slut shaming.
Yeah, and that's also what I was saying we're not saying anything wrong about women. It's just, if you're looking for a relationship, you're looking for a long-term relationship, I have to be able to respect you.
Right.
And I have to also know that my friends are going to respect you.
Right.
I'll be real. I had accountability partners. You don't get past them, it's going to be hard to get past me. Get to me, because I have men who will keep me accountable and be like, hey, look, this is what she's posting online. To everybody.
Absolutely. And long term, it's developing bad habits, because usually this is a result of poor decision making. And then, it grows with compound interest. And then the delusion comes in because young ladies, unfortunately, can't distinguish between short term sexual interest versus long term interest. And then they get upset and say, men are trash. Obviously, this is not true, right? But they'll say all men are trash because I'm continuously being in the situations. But if she listened to the wisdom of the Pimp Chronicles, there's something about your behavior that is attracting this attention. And there's a correlation to what you show and what you are being shown from the gentlemen who are getting in them guts.
I mean, I think right now what we are in is we're in a culture of wanting to be seen.
And wanting to be liked.
Yes. Shared as well, yes.
Yeah, liked, seen, shared. I mean, we're looking for attention from people who don't even know us. I mean, that's the culture right now. And when you look for attention from people who don't know you, and that's who you prioritize, then you start to devalue the people that are in your circle that actually care about you. And that's what I believe is leading to what we're at right now. We've started to deprioritize the people in our own circle, the ones that'll actually look out for us and care about us, and prioritize the people who are going to like us and who are going to elevate us on Instagram and Facebook and social media in general, so that we can make a few extra dollars that are only going to last a few years. Not everybody's going to be able to make a lifetime out of social media. Your body only lasts so long.
And that's sometimes some of them not even making no money. They just posting the stuff or whatever like that. I'm just saying. No, because what happens is that they see the girls who are making money, right? And then and they're getting all these followers and likes. So they start doing, but they don't get the same amount of followers and likes. It's girls on there with 45 followers still twerking and like that, whatever, like that. So I mean, it's crazy.
We're not saying don't enjoy your life. We're just saying, hey, enjoy your life, but also know what you want in life and try to get there. I mean, that's my whole thing, is have goals. Now, if your goal in life is just to have fun, travel, and be a gypsy, go wherever you want, I'm not going to tell you what to do, to be honest. But if your goal is find a husband, get married, or find a really good guy, get married, all that stuff, then you have to respect yourself. I mean, good men are attracted to, we're attracted to women, good looking women, but we're also looking for somebody who we can trust. There's no good man looking for somebody they can't trust and looking for somebody who doesn't respect themselves. I don't know. I mean, any of you guys want to date somebody who doesn't respect themselves?
Not me, no.
Only for the night, if that.
I mean, nobody wants to marry somebody who don't respect themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to marry somebody they can't bring home to mama. I mean, that's the truth. I mean, that's just how I feel anyway.
Absolutely. What do you think, Banks?
I think the best example was on the podcast, The Roommates. I don't remember the guy, but he was like on a ton of infomercials. He's like really big into fitness, millionaire. But he was giving advice on like having the perfect relationship, or at least building the right relationship and what men want. And I feel like the biggest thing he mentioned, what men do not want or do not want to cater towards, is like the whole idea of the influencer on Instagram. He was stressing the fact you can don't ever date an Instagram influencer. Don't ever take them seriously, because at the end of the day, it's like, if it comes to you or the platform, who do you think they're going to choose? The platform, because that's their so-called moneymaker. That's where they get their attention. That's what they thrive for. That's where they get their energy from, because they're looking to please the audience as opposed to pleasing the family. And I felt like that point was really unique and interesting, because if you think about it, influencers, their job is to influence, garnish a ton of attention, and really put themselves out there to millions or thousands or hundreds of strangers on a daily basis. So if you look at it from that particular standpoint, how could they have time to really build or put you in their world? It just doesn't make sense. And I feel like with everything that's going on right now, and I feel like with a lot of young ladies especially, they get caught up in that whole idea of trying to please everyone and trying to be the best looking and trying to, or buying in to having the best body. You get trapped into actually trying to build yourself and be the best version of yourself, and really take the time to actually build with someone else, or like that one particular person that you want to vibe with or build with, as opposed to catering to an audience that you don't know.
Yeah, I think the likes, or like he said earlier, trying to please someone that you don't even know, I think it's like a drug for them, honestly. And I think the issue is that if they're that person already, it's gonna be hard to get them out of being that person, even when they get in a relationship, stuff like that, because they constantly need, that influx of, I got all these likes, I got all these, whatever and stuff like that, or followers improving. So, they're not going to want to change the type of photos that they post or type of things that they wear, even in person, outside of social media, stuff like that, because they're so used to getting that boost from that and stuff like that. So I think that's hard. And if they're influencing, even more so, because now they're getting money from it. So, they almost feel like you're trying to take away their money, saying they can't wear this, whatever on their page like that. So
Absolutely, dopamine and endorphins. And Kelsey Johnson says that they say you've got to become the person you want to attract.
I agree.
I mean, I agree with that. Here's the thing, and I don't like to generalize all influencers because some people became influencers without wanting to be. Yeah. So we're talking about influencers who are literally showing off their body to become influencers, right?
Yeah.
That's okay. Just making sure we're. So what I will say in that is, I actually really don't have any words to say besides. I'm gonna be honest. I can't tell you if a person will or will not change depending on what their goals are. And I mean, this is just being completely honest. I have a friend who was in a job with stripping, and she did it because she was taking care of her son. Am I gonna say, hey, you can't like that? I'm not the person who's gonna tell them what to do. And then she met a guy, and they ended up dating, got married, and now she's out of that. So I can't say generally everybody will get out of it. It just depends on what people's situations are.
I think it's more likely to the person who's really just doing it for the money to get out than the person who's doing it because they need that dopamine and endorphins. That drug is calling them. It's like Pookie and New Jack. It's calling them, man. Like they need that to that back, whatever like that. So I feel like that's gonna be hard or whatever. But if they're just doing it for a solid look, like a stripper who's a stripper went to college or whatever, I'm solidly doing it just to get this money. I'm in, I'm out. They got a better chance to change than the person who's doing it just because they want to be liked.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it all goes down to the love of being loved and the love of money. Like if you have a love of money and you have a love of being loved, and those are the two most important things in your world.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not, that means you're most likely not happy with who you are, and then it's not going to work. A lot of people are trying to be influencers and trying to do all stuff to find love. And a lot of times it's because they didn't get love from their family members, people around them growing up, or they were hurt or bullied. And unfortunately, the world that we live in, it's better to just post great stuff on Instagram than it is to go to a therapist. If you haven't been to a therapist ever, I'm gonna be real. For me, if you haven't been to a therapist ever, we can't date.
That's interesting.
Oh, that I love that, Jared. That should be that definitely should be a requirement.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Samuels.
He says that too. Thanks.
Kevin Samuels says that to every woman he speaks to. Like, have you? Like he automatically asks, like, "Who's your therapist?" And if they can't give you an answer, I believe he then asks, "Do you plan on seeing a therapist?" And if the answer is no, he's not dealing with them.
I mean, because again, sometimes, as guys, we're solution oriented. So if there's an issue, we want a solution to fix that specific issue. But sometimes ladies just like venting. And after a while, if you're going to vent but not take any action to make the change, then you're not just going to talk my ears off. I'm not a pair of ears you can just talk at.
Right. And to add to that point, if you think about it, like, Kevin Samuels is obviously to a point of succession that a lot of people want to be at. And if you look at what he is, why would he deal with somebody who has no form of therapy? It just doesn't make sense, especially where he's at in life. It would just cause more of a hindrance or problem or issues that he does not have time to deal with. So when he meets that particular person or deals with them for a short period of time, a long period of time, it just makes sense when you rather deal with somebody who's fully mentally capable of, having conversation and dealing with what you do on a daily basis. Because if someone who's unstable or shaky when it comes to the things they do on a daily, or what he gets, or the threats, or the jokes, it will be chaos.
I mean, here's the thing. If in your life, and this is us too, if in your life your time is not the most valuable time, and you think other people's time is more valuable than yours, that's one, you need to rethink that. So I'm gonna be real. My time is very valuable. I don't want to be spending time talking about things that we're going like. I don't want to be somebody's therapist. I want to be your friend. I want to be in a relationship with you. But there's things that you might want that a woman that I'm talking to might want to have a conversation with a licensed therapist, because I'm not perfect and I can't answer everything perfect, and I have my own opinions. The best therapists ask the right questions. That's what they do. They ask the right questions. They know how to ask the right questions, and they're trained to ask the right questions, and they listen very well. Not a perfect listener. So if you don't have a therapist, me and you can't work out, because I have a therapist. I talk to somebody clearly about the things going on in my life that's going to listen and not judge me, and I don't have to worry about it. So that's part of my other thing with talking about equally yoked. I mean, I think every man should ask every woman, hey, do you have a therapist? And then if they don't have a therapist, hey, do you have an accountability group? That's the next best thing.
Yeah.
Can you hold on, Josh? Can you explain that accountability group for people who don't know what that is or don't have that? Yeah.
Yeah, I can explain that. So I have an accountability group. So I have a group of friends, and I actually have two accountability groups, but I have groups of friends where I have men in my life who hold me accountable to what I say I'm going to do. So that's one thing. Two, to just hold a high standard. So regardless of what I like, regardless of what's going on in my life, they hold me to a very high standard. They look out for me in ways that they fill in my blind spots of what's going on, but they also hold me financially responsible. So where are your finances at? Are you working? Are you like doing the things that you're supposed to do as a man? Why is your car dirty, bro? Stuff like that.
And how did they come into play with relationships?
They tell me, I said this, I think it was 2 weeks ago. They'll let me know if a girl's not right for me. I actually have a friend, and this was recent. This was actually yesterday or the day before. It might have been Monday, where he's like, hey, your ex asked to hang out with my girlfriend. Just wanted to let you know. What do you think about that? That's trust. That's a whole different level of trust. And let me know, one. Two, ask me how I felt about it. And then also ask me what, like, is something going on and do I need to know something? And I had a conversation. So not only was I accountable, he was accountable to me and also let me know what was going on. And that's just a different level of trust. He also has told me in the past, hey, Jared, that girl, not good. Here's what she's doing and here's who she's talking to. And then put me in contact with somebody else that she was talking to. Thank you for letting me know. My discernment and my perception would have been off if I didn't have these friends that actually did this for me. And that's just an awesome thing. You have friends and people that care about you that much, but also can say, hey, look, how are you financially? Are you financially stable? Are you working right now? During COVID, I had friends that reach out to me, hey, how's it going? Hey, did you lose your job? What happened? Oh, I can help you find something. Are you going to make it? Like, that's stuff that you have to have as a man. But you also, as a woman, if they don't have a friend group like that actually cares about them, you need to start thinking about why she doesn't have friends like that. And who are the people that are closest to her? Because you become, I won't say you become, but I'll say you will be influenced by the 5 closest people to you. And if if that circle is not great and they're the most elevated one, that can pull somebody down. So, and if all her friends are on Instagram,
yeah,
all her friends on Instagram.
Absolutely. And you haven't even met him yet. So Claudiz says, if your girl isn't talking to you or seeking your advice, does she really respect you? What do we think about that, gents?
Well, obviously no, but I think just to add to that point, there was an author who is a successful CEO, and he was also on the Roommates podcast. But he basically wrote this or stressed this particular point, especially when it comes to finding your partner and finding the right person to marry. And he brought up this unique point. There was a girl he was dating. She was attractive. She was beautiful. They had great sex. Every time they went out, they always just had fun. But it came to a point to where he was like, all right, let me do this. Let's stop having sex and see what happens. And then the fun went automatically decreased. Like they found that they didn't really have much in common other than that. And then the next woman that came in his life, he stressed this particular point. He said, if we were to have an argument and you needed someone to talk to weigh the pros and cons, and you couldn't talk to me, who would you talk to? Well, I'd probably talk to my friend. And then he asks, okay, is your friend in a relationship? No. Is your friend married? No. Okay. Have they been in a serious relationship before? No. So don't you see the issue? If we have a problem and we're together and we're trying to build something, and then you're going to talk to someone who has no idea what or how to build any sort of foundation or has experience in that type of foundation or relationship, what type of advice do you think you're going to get from that person? And then she was like, oh my gosh, you're right. And that point, that's where he said that advice right there made just the perfect sense in regards to just something so simple. Like, who are you going to talk to? Who is in your group? Who's in your social group? And if you don't have people that can give you effective advice, that's just another piece of destruction that's going to add on to the quote unquote word that's being thrown around, toxic. And I feel like a lot of people get caught up in that because they don't have the right foundation or group of people to really provide any positive insight to work things out for the best.
Yeah, I agree with that. In relation to what Chloe said, if your girl isn't talking to you or seeking advice, does she really respect you? It depends on the topic to me. I'm gonna be real. I'll put this in simple terms. A girl should not be coming to me that I'm dating to ask me, what's the most comfortable bra?
Right. Right. Of course. Yeah.
So just to put it simply, there are times where we should be having a conversation. If it's something that actually affects us, I should be the first person you have a conversation with. If not, if you have like a therapist, that's okay. I don't actually mind that. But if I'm not in that loop where you're going to have that conversation with me in the first 3 people that you talk to, there's a problem. I'm okay with a girl going to her mom and having a conversation, a therapist, or a best friend first, just to get advice on how to speak about something. Because sometimes I have to talk to my friends and talk things out. Like, bro, this is what happened. This is how I perceived it. This is what my perception of what happened is. And sometimes they give me really good advice and they say, well, this is the other perspective. And that puts me in a different state of mind before I have the conversation with her. So the same thing could happen. It's just, if I'm not in that loop at all, then I probably don't. I'm not. It's if I'm not in the loop, but I'm being talked about, then there's a different level of respect. But I'm not the end all be all.
Miguel?
Yeah, I mean, I see your point too, Jared. And I guess I agree with Chloe as well. I would say she doesn't respect your opinion, in that way, which in turn means she doesn't respect you, all the way. I feel like, especially when it comes to, some of the bigger decisions, life decisions, job decisions, things like that. I feel like that if she needs advice, she should be the person you're confident, the person that she's able to come to for that. If she's really like going beyond you and making these decisions or life events, life event altering decisions without you, I feel like she just like she don't respect your opinion, and she don't trust your opinion even better. And y'all probably shouldn't even be together, honestly, in my opinion.
Absolutely. So, as we transition to the next segment, which is advice for young men. And the first question that we got on social media is, how can I be honest with women if they don't typically handle the truth? Which is a great question. So for me, I would say anyone who it isn't natural for them to be in the presence of the truth, you probably don't want in your presence, because having that type of energy around you is going to really complicate your life with a lot of drama. You won't have your peace of mind. And how could you actually trust a person who can't be in the presence of the truth? But that's just me.
I'm the same way. If they can't take the truth, then how do you know they're telling it?
That's a different way to look at it, different perspective.
That's
I like that. And I would say, to as the question was presented, I would say it's very hard to be, because it's very hard to be transparent if the person can't handle what you told them or has an adverse reaction. And sometimes they may, and that's okay, because we're naturally we're human beings, right? So we may have a emotional reaction, but it's the fact of when they can't let it go, or when it lingers, right, for months and months and months. That's when you become. That's when you start thinking, how can I be honest with you or be transparent with you, where you can't, like able to deal with it, and talk about it and move forward, stuff like that. So I feel like the answer how, I don't know, man. I feel like it's hard. Thanks for you saying that.
I mean, I do agree. I think you should find somebody that you can be honest with, even though I do believe it's a little it's hard to do that, especially if you're like brutally honest. And not to, well, whatever, I don't care. It's like this. It's like when it comes to women, sometimes they tell you that they want to hear the complete truth. But if you're really truthful with them, they take it to heart, and they may take it, and then they tell you they want the truth, and then you get the opposite reaction, as opposed to just like moving past or working through it. It just messes up everything. So I do think it's incredibly important to find somebody who is willing to work with you and to work past whatever issue or circumstance that may come up, to in turn make or strengthen the bond that you have between each other. And I do think when it comes to that, I do think when you find that, it just a barrier or having any reason to not lie or bend or twist anything that may come across on your daily life.
Absolutely. And Kelsey Johnson has a great point. There's always a way to approach it. Don't just be a jerk. And that's fair. But Kelsey, I will counter you. Sometimes if you're being too nice to a lady, they simply just won't hear you. And sometimes the way that women communicate is for you to be a jerk, so it snaps them out of it. And you're not being a jerk to be a jerk. You're just saying something plainly, and sometimes you're gonna have to put a little emphasis on it, so it snaps them out of their la la lands. Girls walk around in la la land. They're not in the logical world like we are. They're not assessing logistics. Jared.
I won't say all girls are in La La Land, but what I will say is, here's the thing. I'm a very blunt person. You know me, you know I'm blunt. You know I can be very dry sometimes, and I have a decently deep voice. So my voice is deep. So sometimes I say things and it comes out very monotone a lot of the time. So when I said know your audience, what I'm saying is know your audience. Know if it's going to take them and smash them, or you have to kind of like sugarcoat it, because there's to Kelsey's point. I'm sorry, I'm looking at two different screens, but to Kelsey's point, there is a audience. I mean, you have to know how to approach somebody. And if you're dating somebody and you're in a relationship with somebody and you really are trying to get to know them and they're trying to get to know you, and you're in the first few weeks, you might not want to tell them the whole truth the way that you want to tell them right then. But
I think you gotta go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, but there's a perspective. You might want them to know, hey, I'm a blunt person, and just let it go. Because some people like blunt people. I'm a really blunt person.
So am I.
I just hey, do you like this? Nah, no. I really don't. That's not that's I don't really like that dress. How about this one? But the best way to approach anything is always to approach it with a solution. My background's engineering, so if you approach every question, every problem, everything with a solution, it's great. And always give two solutions, not a yes or a no. So don't ever ask somebody or give somebody a way out to say no. Say, hey, I don't like this. I really don't like that dress, but I really like this one. Or I think the one you wore last week was really nice too. And then you give them a choice between something. And when you give any woman a choice, women like to make choices. Women like things. They like when they have a choice. They don't like no's, but they like choices. So if you give women a choice, it really helps on any solution.
I think know your audience also goes to the fact of like some things are just better left unsaid altogether. And certain people who can't take certain things just you may not be able to tell them. It is what it is, whatever. But only because you might want to have a good night or a good day or whatever like that. So you understand maybe this thing is not that important to say, and I know how this person might take it, so I'm just not going to say it. So I'm learning that myself now, that some things is better left unsaid, or whatever like that. But some of the other things you have to and that you will say, stuff like that.
Banks, you want to add in there?
I don't know if you heard you or not.
All right.
Thanks. You hear us? I guess not. Oh, there he goes.
No, I mean, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think it just really depends on like who are you with and who you decide to be with, and then figure out what you can do to be, the best version that suits the both of you.
Yeah,
absolutely. And Jerry, you want to read out what you said?
I mean, if you're in a relationship with somebody at all who you can't be honest with and completely honest with and be yourself, I mean, that's an extra weight on you. And there are burdens that you're not meant to carry. And it should be easy. Let's be real. Every relationship, everything's not perfect. But if you can't be honest with somebody, you're gonna have a weight constantly. Trust is everything in a relationship. Communication and trust. And if you can't be honest with them, that breaks down both of those two things. So now all you have is like intimacy. And intimacy doesn't hold people together. It can for some people, but it doesn't make a relationship. Intimacy is awesome. It's great. It's amazing. But if you don't have a relationship on top of that, it doesn't last.
I could definitely agree with that. And our next question is, if my girlfriend goes on a girls only trip, is that a red flag?
I would say no. I go on guys only trips where we don't invite any of our girlfriends. We have fun, enjoy doing guy things that we don't have to worry about them. And like, I'm going on a trip to Costa Rica later this year. I'm going with a bunch of guys that are my accountability partners, and we're gonna go have fun. I don't really think there's a red flag unless you don't trust her. That's a whole different story.
But if you don't trust her, you shouldn't be in a relationship with in the first place, right? So I feel like that I'm with you. No, it's not a red flag. If that trust is there, you're gonna go have fun with your girls. I'm gonna go have fun with my guys. I feel like that there's nothing wrong with that. Like, they may want to enjoy a certain place. They may go to a hair festival or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to go there. So I just feel like that. Nah, go do what you do. I'm cool with that.
Word. What do you think, Banks?
Might be delayed.
I was gonna say real quick, if they go to Essence, look, I can't. Who could be mad at you girls for going to Essence together on a girls trip? After watching,
I don't think it's really an issue. I just think it just depends on the mind space of your girl. I think it really depends.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And Kelsey says that's insecurity. True. Means you need to know who you are with. If you can't trust her on a girls trip, then don't be with her. We are still two individual people. And I agree completely, because as a only child and an introvert and an intellectual, like, I love my space. I require my space. So that this essentially gives you more space to be in my world, which I will appreciate. And I feel like it's great that your significant other actually has a life without you, because imagine that they wouldn't be able to experience things without you being there. Then that's more of a weight that Jared was talking about on the relationship, and you don't want to be responsible for someone's happiness if they can't be happy within themselves.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: if she's going on a girls only trip, that's not terrible. But if she is going on a trip with a bunch of guys, that's a red flag. That's throw up the red flag and then throw up the white flag and then leave. We out. Like my shirt says, but but I mean, you can't be. Here's the thing: most guys, like us, I mean, we go on trips. I think we all travel. But the most important thing is we travel, and we actually enjoy traveling and enjoy going different places and doing that. I think women should do the same thing. And if you see her going on a bunch of trips with friends and she's going on trips, that means that she has something in order, because, I mean, it costs money to go and travel. You have to have a passport. That's kind of awesome too. Well, unless you're traveling inside the country, but you have friends, and you have people that you trust, because you don't travel with people you don't trust. So those are those are actually some green flags that say, hey, look, this person has a life and they're able to be somewhat financially responsible. They have friends to go travel on trips with. I mean, there's something there and they're enjoying life. So they're happy. It's not somebody who's sitting at home and that isn't doing anything with their life. So I think that's a plus. I would actually rather somebody be going on girls trips. And maybe not all the time where I can't see her, but once in a blue moon, once a quarter, no, go right ahead. That's awesome. Just don't get mad at me when I go on my trip with my friends.
Exactly, when you are purposefully not invited.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think in this day and age, I think they're not only should be okay, but should be, like he was saying, should be welcome. Like, go enjoy your time with your girls, go enjoy your time with your guys, whatever, like that. Then we come back together and we enjoy our time. I think that kind of escape from from your life, just to have fun with the guys you maybe grew up with that or girls. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Absolutely. So we actually enter our final segment, which is incredibly brief. And this is actually inspired from a segment that we had on Mental Theater, the whole concept of marry, smash, kill. But obviously we don't want to condone violence on this show. So I thought we add some, masculine wisdom to the concept. So it's going to be called marry, smash, avoid, right? And we have 3 ladies all in their prime out of respect. So it actually makes it difficult to answer. So all these ladies are in their physical prime. And the 3 ladies are Halle Berry, Nia Long, Stacey Dash.
Let me go. First off, no, and no. You would just lead you would. I'm not to downplay them. I enjoyed what their work. Beautiful woman, but
we're losing you.
Just even when we're talking about, huh?
We gotta break it up a little bit. Keep going though.
Oh yeah, but even just on what we said earlier, like, oh, I can't find the right guy, but it's them. Those women, they're and I don't honestly think they want to be. I feel at that point they're all 40, and they're fine being single and do whatever it is. And whatever it is, they're happy is the reason why they're single at that age. So I don't think I could ever marry any of them. Could have, but I just don't see any seriousness in regard to marriage, because I don't think they would want to collaborate sort of cooperation in regard to the things they did in the past, because they probably feel like everything is the right thing because they're getting the end result. And if you look at their age, I mean, it just adds to that. So, the only thing we do say is, but as far as marriage, I feel like we'll get divorced in 6 months because what they're used, and not to knock them. I feel like once you get to a certain of age, especially when it comes to a woman, I don't really see any change or alteration to that you off all these years.
So,
because if you look at Halle Berry, just add one more thing. Look at Halle Berry in the he always said it's him and not her. So I feel like you have to take accountability.
I think his Wi-Fi is lagging.
Yeah, it is.
So I will say this real quick. Josh, why you say they're in their prime? I need to know that first.
Oh, to make it more difficult, like I said, they're in their prime.
Halle Berry and Swordfish was in her prime.
Okay.
You're talking about back in their prime. You're not talking about right now.
Correct.
Okay. So you're not talking about right now they're in their prime. You're talking about while they were in their prime. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Halle Berry's still bad, by the way.
That's what I'm saying. No, she is, but I was saying like she was in her prime a while, like prime versus. Look, I'm gonna be real. So I'll be honest. I love me some Halle Berry. I would marry in her prime. I would have married Halle Berry. Neil Long, I probably would have. No, I probably would just. I mean, ignore and leave her alone would be Stacey Dash. But it's a toss up between how I'll probably want to marry both of them at the same time. I just Stacey Dash is just she's beautiful, but she's always gave me those off vibes.
Yeah, I'm with you. Stacey's out, definitely. I probably would marry Nia and just smash Holly. I feel like I would just have the fun with Holly, but I feel like Nia would be more of the person that could be my wife, you know, seeing as stuff that they've done in their life, stuff like that, or whatever. So Stacey has the personality issues, you know. I don't know what side of the fence she's on sometimes, you know, politically, religiously. I can't mess with her. I gotta go with the other people.
Absolutely. So obviously I'm gonna avoid Stacey Dash as well. If anything, I would actually use her as bait to attract the other two. That might be what I would do, a diversion tactic, if that. But
Holly's too secure. She's too secure to attract. And then I think Nia would. I think those are two really strong, secure women.
I mean, in their prime, though, they would have a different mindset than they would now. That's all I'm saying, respectfully.
Yeah.
I would definitely, you know, David Justice, Halle Berry, of course. We just smashing, you know, and then that's even more leverage, right? And then because, of course, she's from Trenton, Nia Long, definitely wifing.
I didn't know she was from Trenton. I'm gonna be real, like it was. I think it was like even 5 years ago. I was still like looking at Nia Long, like, "Are you married?"
Yeah. And then what your boy J. Cole said on that one track about Nia Long?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Nia Long today. Trust me.
Oh man.
Absolutely. So, all right, guys, we're going to end it there. Thank you, gentlemen, for your wonderful gems to the young generation. Thank you, Kelsey, Chloe, Diz, and everyone else in the comments. Appreciate it. And Tony Stark Jr., of course. And we'll see you next week.
Good night.
Peace.
Sure, they got me brainless. Hey, and I don't understand it. Hey, I don't know. Yeah.
But I just came to confess that I'm just feeling so blessed. I'm just feeling so blessed. I'm just feeling so blessed. Wake up every day, big smile on my face. I just came to confess that I'm just feeling so blessed.